Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 204. Beset by troubles on all sides. Hand me that medicinal powder, Hung Jun said quietly. Lu Su brought the medicine over, and Hung Jun used the brazier in the temple to refine the pills. Ashinakayan had previously found some medicinal items hidden away in the temple, and now Hung Jun tried using some of them, only to find out that they had some miraculous effects, as they were actually the ashes left behind by the eternal flame that had burned on the altar for time immemorial. Don't go back on your own, Lu Su suddenly said. Hung Jun was currently caught up in the haze of concocting Atai's medicine, but when he heard those words, he suddenly froze. That was what the big wolf said, Lu Su added expressionlessly, before Hung Jun could ask. He then sat down at his side. Hung Jun mixed a little water into the powder to turn it into a paste, before gently applying it to Atai's face. During Atai's torment, he had sustained several gashes over his face, and his visage that had once been even more beautiful than a woman's, had been almost completely ruined. But he had the confidence that he would be able to heal him. What caused all of this, Hung Jun murmured, was that they didn't believe in me. Plus, the exorcism department involving themselves with the Yao tribes makes it even more difficult to resolve this issue. Lu Su replied, Li Jinglong is already being very careful, and he's been warning us since the beginning to not let the Yao tribes have anything against us. In reality, ever since Hung Jun inherited the position of the Yao King from Chongming, Li Jinglong had reminded them time and time again that they were all humans, and exorcists to boot. So, no matter what, they were considered the Yao tribe's enemies. Even when they had banded together to fend off Mara, that reality didn't change. As soon as the exorcists influenced Hung Jun too much, his identity as the Yao King would be called into question, and the Yaogwai would also grow suspicious of Hung Jun. How could the individual they called their king be so close to humans? If the Yaogwai discovered that Li Jinglong could give Hung Jun orders, his authority as the Yao King would be called into questions. Which is why I must deal with this on my own, Hung Jun said. No one can help me any longer. I'm a Yao, Lu Su replied. The big wolf is one as well. That's not the same, Hung Jun said, looking at Lu Su. I can no longer rely on you guys. Lu Su replied, then tell me, how do you plan on dealing with this? Hung Jun was silent. Lu Su continued, do you want to kill Qing Xiang? Hung Jun remained silent, and after Lu Su was done, he said quietly, I don't know. I'm very confused, Lu Su. He frowned deeply, and when he looked at Lu Su, his eyes were filled with sorrow. I know that at this point in time, I should have my own ideas, and like you guys Enzenshi, I should be able to bring up my own opinions. I should deal with Qing Xiang, isn't that right? But sometimes, I don't even believe in myself. He then sighed, before continuing. I haven't even thought about the reason why I want to go back. I just want to ask him why to his face. Lu Su watched Hung Jun calmly. I cannot make this decision for you, Lu Su said in the end. But every member of the exorcism department is willing to accompany you on your way there. Looks like you're facing a great challenge, Atai suddenly said, frightening Hung Jun and Lu Su. He tried to rise, only to wince in pain, and the two of them hurried to check over Atai's body. Atai, however, did his best to stretch, letting out a few ayahs of pain. How do you feel? Hung Jun asked. You were beaten to the point where your flesh had split open. Lu Su added, don't move around needlessly. Otherwise your wounds will reopen. It feels as if I've had a very long dream. Atai's face was covered with medicine, but when he turned to look at Hung Jun, his eyes were filled with joy. But finally, I've been able to see you guys again, and alive at that. Hung Jun and Lu Su both began to laugh at that. Lu Su said, I'll go call them over. This is great, you've finally woken up. After Lu Su left, Atai asked, Hung Jun, who bullied you? Atai's awakening greatly improved Hung Jun's mood, and he smiled as he replied, "You should worry about yourself first. You didn't grope me while I was sleeping, did you?" Atai asked. "Be careful that your Seizai doesn't beat you up for it. Do I look like that kind of person?" Hung Jun raged. Atai began to laugh at that, but as soon as he did, his entire body radiated pain. He gritted his teeth before asking, "I'm quite a sight now, aren't I?" "You're all right," Hung Jun said, patting Atai's head. "You'll be as handsome as you were before." Atai looked at Hung Jun meaningfully, and Hung Jun knew then that he had woken up a long time ago. He had simply remained silent when Hung Jun and Lu Su were chatting. With his intelligence, he had probably already guessed everything that had happened. Still, Hung Jun couldn't resist letting out a gentle sigh. "When I'm confused," Atai said, "I always wonder about what my father would have done if he was still alive." Hung Jun. Atai continued, "Though I don't know how thorny the problem you're currently dealing with is, I imagine that you might make the same choice as your father." These words sank themselves like stones into the sea of Hung Jun's thoughts, making him a lot more clear-headed. "You're right," Hung Jun said. "Though it was a very willful way to do it," Atai said slowly, "and it brought a lot of additional trouble down on everyone, which, very sorry about that. I imagine that I did what my father would have done." Hung Jun knew what Atai was trying to say. He had deviated from the plan. Li Jinglong's original goal had simply been to return to Talas and obtain the Golden Sun Ring, but Atai had instead hoped to find a chance to light the divine flame on the altar. That was the reason for his carelessness, and why he had been captured. If it had been Atai's father, Isai, he would have done the same. Hung Jun couldn't resist asking, "What was the meaning of the words you spoke at the altar?" "Ah," Atai said easily. "I said, I give up. Zoroaster's denizens had forsaken us, the divine flame, and the glory of Cyrus the Great and the Isai clan. That was why the divine flame had gone out, but the gods themselves still walked among them." You, Hung Jun could never have imagined that at the end, in front of the altar, Atai had given up on his goal. "But the sparks still remain, and will never go out," Atai continued absent-mindedly. "They will blaze again to life in another corner of the world. And even if that is tens of thousands of years from now, they will not go out." Saying that, he looked right into Hung Jun's eyes. "When Kyung and I were returning, I had already made up my mind. Instead of pinning our hopes on the residents who long since gave up believing in the divine flame, it would be better for us to find our believers and lead them away instead to rebuild our home elsewhere." Hung Jun said, "I thought the same before, but that will be a long and arduous journey," Atai finished for him, before taking Hung Jun's hand and pressing it to his own chest. "You need to understand what you are living for in this world, and what you can give to your followers, the good and the bad, the struggles and the successes, life and death. Only when your own beliefs are strong enough can you become their pillar of faith, and only then will the fire never go out." Atai let go, and he looked at Hung Jun with encouragement in his eyes. It was then that Li Jinglong, Qiu Yangxi, and the rest of them came speeding in. Qiu Yangxi laughed loudly several times, before piling right on top of Atai. Atai hurriedly protested, "I'm an injured soldier." "I am as well," Qiu Yangxi replied with no hesitation, and he slumped right over him. Qiu Yangxi almost squished Atai to death with his bulk, while Li Jinglong and Mo Rijin stood to one side, chuckling. Hung Jun laughed as well, though that began to fade as Atai's words continued to resound through his mind. By the third day they had spent recuperating in the temple, Atai's entire body had been slathered in medicine, and he could already lift his own bowl to drink the goat meat broth. When Li Jinglong told him that Ashinakayan had left, Atai simply nodded. "We already discussed that," Atai explained. Mo Rijin asked, "What about the Golden Sun Ring?" Atai replied, "Once I recover, I'll give it a try. If that doesn't work, then we can bring it back to the Luoyang earth vein." Li Jinglong felt as if a weight had fallen off his shoulders, and he said, then let's set out tomorrow morning, back to Chengdu. Baghdad must have already sent out the order to scour this area for you. Hung Jun pondered for a moment, before nodding. Late at night, Li Jinglong and Qiu Yangxi were still discussing what would happen after this, so Hung Jun went back to their room and went to bed with Chen Feng. Mom, Chen Feng said, hugging Hung Jun. Hung Jun glanced at Chen Feng, and Chen Feng continued, there's something I've been hiding from you this entire time, so don't get mad. Hung Jun. Hung Jun sat up, his mouth twitching. What's wrong? Chen Feng was already a little sleepy, but he sat down on the bed across from Hung Jun, saying hesitantly, actually, in the cave. Uncle Zhao Yun When Hung Jun was reminded of Zhao Yun, he frowned. What's wrong with him? Hung Jun asked. He almost died, Chen Feng replied. But Zhao Zilong saved him. Don't worry, he's fine. Hung Jun. Chen Feng replied, Dad told me not to tell you. Hung Jun instantly felt as if he had plummeted into an abyss and he asked with trembling voice, why's that? Chen Feng said, because they heard something they weren't supposed to. Hung Jun asked, what did they overhear? Chen Feng, what the blind uncle was saying. Hung Jun. Li Jinglong and Qiu Yangxi sat in the main hall, with the golden sun ring, the Yao subduing staff, the sword of wisdom, and the moon eclipse bow laid out on the table in front of them. There was one more, the Yao binding rope, which was currently restraining the drought fiend. We're still missing one, Qiu Yangxi remarked, before we'll have the full set. Li Jinglong had never imagined that after struggling for this long, he would have gotten to this point. He believed that he would be able to find all 6 of the artifacts, but he had never thought about the process of doing so. This last battle won't be very easy. Li Jinglong drummed his fingers against the table. Qiu Yangxi replied, subduing Mara is something within our calculations. What I'm worried about are the Yao tribes. Li Jinglong was silent. Under the moonlight, the night sky looked as if it had been freshly washed. Yu Zhou stretched as he walked in from the yard. Zhao Zilong, Mo Rijin said from behind the wall, where's Xinqi? Yu Zhou, inside the main room. The door's shut. Several moments late. Mo Rijin. Yu Zhou. Yu Zhou stood there woodenly, as if he had been petrified. Mo Rijin's expression twisted oddly, and he asked disbelievingly, so it's you? Yu Zhou took a half step back, and that insouciant expression from before vanished instantly. Panic appeared in his eyes, and he stuttered out, I. Mo Rijin hurried over to yank Yu Zhou's collar, but Yu Zhou retreated hastily. Let me explain. How did you turn into this form? Mo Rijin asked angrily. Why are you lying to us? Zhao Zilong. And here I was thinking you were actually somebody. Yu Zhou kept backing up, his arms moving about in a panicked flurry. I. It took me a lot of effort to cultivate this form. Don't attack, let's talk it out, okay? Don't hit him. Chen Feng's voice called out. He ran into the yard and shielded Yu Zhou behind him. Mo Rijin said impatiently, Feng move aside. No. Chen Feng refused to budge. You aren't a good person. I'm not a good person. Mo Rijin almost spat up blood from how angry that sentence made him. Usually, Chen Feng disliked Mo Rijin the most because Mo Rijin always looked so stern. But Mo Rijin had raised several little brothers of his own, and though he was not prone to being very expressive, he did carefully look after Chen Feng. So when he heard these words, Mo Rijin felt so angry he could cry. I always felt that you guys, all of you guys, didn't like me, so I thought, Yu Zhou explained in a stutter, since I've turned into a human anyway, might as well let bygones be bygones. Might as well be a new person entirely, right? When he spoke, Mo Rijin suddenly sensed the heartache in Yu Zhou's words. And when he thought about it from a different perspective, Zhao Zilong had his own reasons for cultivating into a human and not telling them, so he had no right to be admonishing him. It was just that the gap between his two forms was too huge, and Morigin was unable to accept that right away. "What are you now?" Morigin asked. "A fish, of course," Yu Zhou replied. "What else could I be?" Zhao Yun and I each took half of the boss snake's neodon, but Zhao Yun, forget it. Chen Feng said to Yu Zhou, "I told my dad." "Is that right?" Yu Zhou asked in response, feeling a sense of relief. "Then I won't butt in needlessly." Morigин's mouth twitched as he studied Yu Zhou. "So, you've turned into a human, yet you're so..." Yu Zhou asked carefully, "So what?" "Nothing." Morigin had been suspicious all along, and had finally done as Li Jinglong had said. Now, he knew that Yu Zhou was actually that silver-tongued Zhao Zilong, but that was truly beyond what his brain could comprehend, and he needed some time to truly digest this shocking news. He turned to leave, but before he did, he said, "You'd better not get any ideas about Lu Su." "Yu Zhou." "Any ideas about who?" Yu Zhou asked tentatively. But Morigin had already walked away. Yu Zhou let out a visible breath of relief, and he looked down at Chen Feng. He squatted down, evidently a little dejected, as he said, "As I expected, everyone still dislikes me." Chen Feng patted Yu Zhou's head. "My mom wouldn't do that." At that moment, the faint sounds of arguing came from another corner of the temple, and both of them turned to look at the same time. Hung Jun had packed his things and was about to head out. Li Jinglong just so happened to hurry back to the bedroom then, and had blocked his way forward. "Li Jinglong, where are you going?" "Hung Jun, you know where." Li Jinglong protested, "Yangtze and I have already discussed this. Everyone will go with you. Why rush to head back right now?" Hung Jun replied, "No. This time, I can't have you guys come with me again. This is something I must face myself." "Hung Jun." Li Jinglong said, frustrated. "We agreed that no matter what happens, we have to deal with our issues together. You knew all of this a long time ago." Hung Jun raised his voice a little. "But you still didn't tell me." Li Jinglong replied, "There was no need to do so." Hung Jun had a simple bag slung over his back, and he stood face to face with Li Jinglong as he spoke. "Feng already told you everything." Zhao Yun and Zhao Zilong overheard Yuan Kun and Qing Xiang's secret talk. Zhao Yun almost died, which was why Zhao Zilong came north with Chen Feng to find us. "Isn't that right? What point is there in you going back alone?" Li Jinglong replied patiently. "Listen to me, Hung Jun. The situation with the Yao race is not as bad as you think. Think about it carefully. If Qing Xiang could truly control the entirety of the Yao race, then why would he need to do such a thing? The Ghost King and the Fox King still favor you, which is why the Kun God had no choice but to work with Qing Xiang to set up this trap." Hung Jun said calmly, "So what? Would dealing with the split within the Yao race become simple as long as you help me make the decision? Are you going to make the exorcism department deal with the Kun God and the Golden Winged Giant Peng?" Li Jinglong found himself at a loss for words, and his forehead furrowed slightly. "My dad was a Yao, and my mom was a human," Hung Jun said. "I am neither. I am simply myself." He looked up at Li Jinglong, before saying, "No matter whether I help you or I help Qing Xiang, both will go against my conscience. I know that to you, the Yao race are very dangerous." "That's not what I meant," Li Jinglong replied earnestly. In that moment, Lu Su stood soundlessly on the rooftop, Morigin squatted at the far end of the wall, Chu Yangtze hid in the shadows, while Atai leaned up against the other side of the wall, listening to Hung Jun speak. End chapter. Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 205. Renewed disputes. Hong Jun raised his eyebrows and stared at Li Jinglong. I am a member of the exorcism department. Hong Jun said, but on this matter, we have a different standpoint. You're right. Li Jinglong agreed honestly. He said, in my viewpoint, the Yao are very dangerous. At the moment, you are the Yao king, but your life will end one day. Members of the Yao races will still be there even after you're gone. I cannot just sit back and watch Qing Xiang and Yuan Kun take control of the power of the Yao race. Otherwise, once you and I are gone, another blood flood would occur. Hong Jun looked at Li Jinglong, and suddenly felt like he didn't know him for a bit. It reminded him that some time ago, the exorcism department had burned a group of Yao foxes who were wreaking havoc in Chang'an right in front of Li Longji. After so long, he finally realized that Li Jinglong's ideology had not changed fundamentally. This realization made him felt very bad. This is what makes us different. Hung Jun said, Jinglong, I have to go. Li Jinglong said angrily, Hung Jun, what are you intending to do? Hung Jun replied, I will subdue Qing Xiang without the help of the exorcism department. I will have the corpse ghost king and the fox king assist me. Li Jinglong stated, I won't let you leave like this. Hung Jun retorted, this is a dispute within the Yao race. The exorcism department cannot intervene. Li Jinglong, the Yao race is where my home is. Your home is with me. Li Jinglong shouted, Hung Jun, calm down. You are my person. In this life, you will always be my person. When Hong Jun heard this, his heart softened instantly. This was only the second time Li Jinglong raised his voice at him since they had met. His anger seemed twisted and hideous under this moonlight. His eyes were reddened and he seemed to be out of breath. Hong Jun couldn't help but felt the emotion that was stirring in each of their souls, like a flood that was trying to break out of the embankment and couldn't be contained. It originated from the deepest part of their body and soul with its accompanying force resonating within each other, the shine of the heart lamp penetrating the soul as the surging phoenix fire washing through the meridian. They are like the clouds that are being separated from each other only to chase the other, just like two merging rivers that no matter how mighty their currents might be, they would still end up blending into each other as they rush into the sea. I love you, Jinglong. Hong Jun said suddenly. Li Jinglong calmed down at once. As he stared at Hung Jun, he whispered, I love you more than you'll ever know. Hung Jun took a step forward and buried himself in Li Jinglong's arms. Then he raised his head, grabbed Jinglong's neck to make him lower his head and pressed a kiss on his lips. With his bowed head, Li Jinglong said, You're a part of me. I remade your 307 po when you died some time ago. You are mine. I won't let you. Suddenly, Hung Jun hit Li Jinglong at the back of his neck. Li Jinglong never expected that Hung Jun would do something like this at this moment. He felt dizzy for a while as he fell into Hung Jun's arms. Mo Rijin wanted to leap over, but Qiu Yangxi, who was hidden in the dark, raised his hands to block Mo Rijin. Yu Zhou emerged from the darkness as Hung Jun passed by Li Jinglong to address Yu Zhou, Zhao Zilong, follow me. Yu Zhou, Hung Jun, you. As soon as Hung Jun turned, he flew up to the sky. Yu Zhou hurriedly ran 2 steps after him and followed by flying up to chase Hung Jun. Li Jinglong, who was left on the ground, called out after him, Hung Jun. Hong Yung turned his head to look at the temple. At this time, the rest of the exorcists rushed out from all around. Mo Rijin helped Li Jinglong to get up, who after being hit in a vital point by Hung Jun, barely managed to keep himself from fainting. Qiu Yangxi said, I guess it right. I knew it would be like this. Li Jinglong broke away from Mo Rijin and stumbled out of the temple. He then turned to Qiu Yangxi and said, in accordance to our original plan, I will leave things to you. I need to go after him. Qiu Yangxi said, Zenshi. Mo Rijin, Lu Su, Qiu Yangxi, and A Tai stood in front of the temple. Li Jinglong turned to glance back. Qiu Yangxi nodded and said, we'll leave this to you. Li Jinglong turned his horse's head, shook the reins and shouted, go. Then he rushed out of the temple and followed the direction where Hung Jun had left. Hung Jun and Yu Zhou flew in the air as the moon went down the west mountain. Yu Zhou, who was following behind, shouted, "Hung Jun! How do you know it is me?" Hung Jun did not answer. Yu Zhou flew closer, but Hung Jun only glanced back at him. "Are you tired?" Yu Zhou said, "Would you like to ride on me?" Hung Jun didn't have a Yao form, and flying for a long distance would really consume a lot of his mana. When he nodded slightly, Yu Zhou turned into a long silver fish in the air and flew under Hung Jun to let him ride on him. "I did promise you," the long fish said loudly, "that when I become a dragon, I will take you to travel the world." Hung Jun looked at the sky under him and couldn't help but touch his spine and pat his back. He suddenly had a mixed feelings as he uttered, "Why do you look so strange?" Yu Zhou. After the Carpiao ate the boss snake's neodon, it really became very strange. Its body was elongated, looking like the long body of a dragon, but its hands and feet were still like that of humans' hands and feet. Its fish head had become wider and flatter. Moreover, it could now move its head to different directions. Its two fish whiskers swayed in the wind, but it didn't have horns. What was even stranger was that its tail was still a fish tail. When Hung Jun said this, he seemed to have heard a scent of a heart being broken, and so he hurriedly comforted, "Your human form is actually quite handsome." Yu Zhou felt a little better after hearing that and said, "I felt like there is a force in my body that was about to burst out, so I changed." When Feng Er saw me then, he said that I must become a person, and so I developed a human appearance. Hung Jun voiced his acknowledgement. He was not surprised by the Carpiao's transformation. From the first day that they met, Hung Jun felt that this was the inevitable future of the Carpiao. Other lowly Yaos might be shocked by these changes and might try to hug the Carpiao's big hairy legs, but it was nothing compared to the phoenix and golden-winged great peng that Hung Jun used to deal with all day long. Even when he saw the Dragon Kings in the Dragon Subduing Tower, he was not that affected. "Hung Jun," Yu Zhou said suddenly. Hung Jun couldn't help but look back and prompted absent-mindedly, "What?" Yu Zhou asked, "Do you miss me?" "Hung Jun." It was almost dark. Since Hung Jun was flying up in the air, he therefore could not recognize the Silk Road below. He was absent-minded and did not pay attention to what Yu Zhou was saying. He said casually, "Zhao Zilong, let's go down." Yu Zhou flew down slowly and landed with Hung Jun on the mountain road. He took Hung Jun's baggage and walked behind him, like a loyal servant. "This is great," Yu Zhou said with emotion. Hung Jun asked in puzzlement, "Why?" At this time, his heart was full of thoughts of Li Jinglong, and he couldn't help thinking of that snowy night when he left Dunhuang. "Remember the day when we left Taihang Mountain?" Yu Zhou followed Hung Jun and continued, "This is how we walked along the way." When Hung Jun thinks of Taihang Mountain, those countless past events were like a world apart. When Yu Zhou mentioned the Yaojin Palace, Hung Jun thought of Qing Xiang. At the beginning, he had such a yearning for the human world because of how flowery Qing Xiang described the human world was. But now, it seemed as if they were all strangers. Even now, he still could not believe that Qing Xiang had planned to kill him. This made his mood heavy again, feeling like there was a vast darkness in front of him and he was all alone in this dark night. "Thank you, Zhao Zilong," Hung Jun said. They started a fire on the side of the road. Yu Zhou looked for some branches and placed it on the ground. After glancing at Hung Jun for a while, he summoned his courage to ask, "Do you want a hug?" Then he extended his arm and patted himself on the chest, leaning his back against the stone. "No need," Hung Jun said blankly. No matter how handsome Zhao Zilong's human form was, in his eyes, it was still essentially that fish. "All right." Yu Zhou was a little disappointed. He went to the side and sat quietly. Hung Jun sighed and laid down beside the fire, leaning against a large rock, and began to contemplate. Yu Zhou suddenly asked, "Are you having regrets, Hung Jun?" "No." Hung Jun replied, "I don't regret it. Only I can do this. Yu Zhou, what are you going to do? Hung Jun replied, I will question Qing Xiang properly. And then? Yu Zhou asked again. I'll beat him and make him submit to me in front of all the members of the Yao race, Hung Jun said. Yu Zhou was startled and tried to clarify, you are going to beat Qing Xiang. Hung Jun retorted, why can't I? Yu Zhou opened his mouth slightly as he couldn't believe that Hung Jun, who was gentle in nature, would actually come up with such a decision without any warning. Can you actually beat him? Yu Zhou asked again. I believe I can. Hong Jun replied, if it were one-on-one, right in our own sacred land. But, Yu Zhou said, that's Qing Xiang. In Yu Zhou's eyes, Qing Xiang and Chongming were extremely powerful, but for Hung Jun, this was the only way to make the entire Yao race submit. A Tai's phrase of if it were your father, how would he act suddenly opened up a path for him and made him saw another possibility. If Kong Xian was in his place, what would he do? If my father is still alive, Hung Jun added a few branches to the bonfire as he said to himself amidst the crackling sound, he will do the same thing as me. My mother is human and he loves her. If he were crowned the Yao King, he must also hope to eliminate the disparity between the two communities. As he finished that sentence, he looked up at Yu Zhou and continued, although I have never actually seen them fight, I believe he will do this. This is the only decision I can come up with. What if you lose? Yu Zhou said. Hung Jun finally could not bear it anymore. On the way, the Carpiao didn't dare to open any pot that shouldn't be open, and that would have been good enough. Now that he left Li Jinglong and the exorcism department, he already felt like mourning. Zhao Zilong, how can you say that? It isn't very nice, ba. Is it that you don't like me very much? Yu Zhou dared not speak immediately. Hung Jun knew that Yu Zhou did care about him, and so, he hurriedly added softly, if I lose, then I'll let him have this Yao King position, but I believe that since Chongming chose me instead of him, then he must have his reasons. The phoenix fledgling was still in Yu Zhou, accompanied by Tu Reindict. Hung Jun had a whim that maybe he should go back first and bring the reborn phoenix with him. Go to sleep. Hong Jun said, from today onwards, I want to be on my own, and I won't go back to Jinglong until this matter is done. You still have me? Yu Zhou said unwillingly. Hung Jun smiled at Yu Zhou, then he laid on the ground on his side and closed his eyes. This was his first real separation from Li Jinglong since the Battle of Chang'an. He tried to recall the past him the first day he had left the Taihang Mountain and walked to the human world. However, that past him was very different from the current him. In the dark night, in the temple on the shore of the Aral Sea, a huge, soft-haired wolf pressed its body down to the completely naked body of Lu Su, who had stretched out his hand to stroke the fur of the wolf. The fur on his back seemed to be rough, but those in his abdomen were very delicate. It felt really comfortable when it brushed on Lu Su's skin. Lu Su touched his solid chest all the way to the bottom of its neck. The wolves hummed comfortably and intertwined with him. At the end, its body shrank and returned to a muscular man, pressing down on Lu Su. When Lu Su was about to say something, they heard a noise coming from the garden. Mo Rijin suddenly looked up towards the voice from the garden. He immediately turned over while Lu Su stayed put. Mo Rijin immediately made a hush gesture. In the garden, a black shadow stood, and suddenly crows flew up and rushed towards the sky. The drought fiend stood at the exit of the underground secret passage, unable to breathe. Suddenly a golden light broke through the window, pulled the drought fiend free and flew up. With an eerie laugh, the drought fiend turned over the wall and disappeared outside the temple. Mo Rijin transformed into the grey wolf and stood up on the terrace while carrying Lu Su, only to see several shadows disappeared under the black rocky mountain and blended into the dark night. Oh, he ran away. Lu Su said, how did he got free from the Yao binding rope? A Tai and Qiu Yangxi had immediately arrived at this time, and Qiu Yangxi said, some Yao helped it out. We had been careless. We need to inform Zhenji immediately. Early morning the next day, Hung Jun opened his eyes with the sun. Yu Zhou seemed to have not slept all night. He glanced at Hung Jun and asked, "Are you awake?" Hung Jun nodded. It had been a long time since he had last slept out in the wild. The weather was getting colder and there was a layer of frost on the roadside. After washing his face, Yu Zhou suddenly said, "Hung Jun, I thought about it all throughout last night. I want to go to the Zoage Basin." Hung Jun was very surprised and said, "Zoage Basin?" Yu Zhou drew a map on the ground. That was the place where Li Jinglong and Qiu Yangxi had discussed and marked with the possible locations of the 6 artifacts of Akalanatha. They now have 5 of them, but there was still the last one. "I think, this one is not necessarily mine," Yu Zhou said, "but I've always wanted to go up and have a look. It might be the place I was born. If there is a magical artifact there and we can get it, I can protect you with it when we return back." "What is the last artifact?" Hong Jun asked suddenly. "The golden arrows," Yu Zhou replied. "Or you can go back to Yu Zhou first and wait for me. Then I'll join you as soon as I find it." "Let's go." Hung Jun smiled. Yu Zhou felt confidence from Hung Jun's smile and so, he nodded. Hung Jun continued, "First, we'll fly to the nearest town and find 2 horses. After entering the Yang Pass, we'll cross over to Qilian Mountain and head to Zoage Basin." Yu Zhou immediately set up. However, there was no supply that can be gathered along the Silk Road. Flying long distance was exhausting. The 2 flew non-stop until they encountered a caravan from the west. Yu Zhou immediately took out pearls and bought 2 camels. This was the last group of merchants traveling to the western regions. It was now full on winter in the central plains as the first snow was ushered in the Yang Pass. For nearly 10 days, Hung Jun and Yu Zhou rushed through the roads day and night to reach Yang Pass. When they arrived in Guazhou, they finally returned to a place they were familiar with. End chapter. Tianbao Fu Yao Lu. Chapter 206. A New Year's Eve. At that time, Yang Pass defense was non-existent. Hung Jun asked the stationed guards and learned that Jia Zhou had led his army to rendezvous with Guo Suiyi, and in cooperation with the Huiye army, they would attack Chang'an on the third front to suppress Shi Siming's army. Hung Jun changed horses and headed south towards Lianzhou along with Yu Zhou. They prepared to cross the Qilian Mountain and enter Qinghai. Along the way, there were large spans of uninhabited area. During winter, frigid winds were raging and blizzards sealed off the mountains. Hung Jun relied heavily on the power of the Phoenix Flame and Yu Zhou as they trudged forward under the wind and snow. This place was once under the jurisdiction of Tubo. In the past, Tubo and the Great Tang engaged in battle for the longest time. In the end, the Tang army conceded defeat and had to marry out Princess Wenqing to the Tubo regime. After passing Qilian Mountain, the wind and snow raged violently. The towns which were formerly under the Great Tang's rule were mostly empty, leaving behind desolate military fortresses. Hung Jun remembered that day back in the thatched cottage in Chengdu, Du Fu asked him and Li Bai to appreciate a poem. In it was a line that said, "Don't you see, in Qinghai, no one has collected the bones since ancient times." That night, at the bottom of Qilian Mountains, Hung Jun and Yu Zhou saw graves behind the deserted military fortresses. Therein lies the bones of soldiers who fought on faraway land and could not return home. On the last night of the 15th year of the Tianbao era, the wind howled as the blizzard raged. Hung Jun and Yu Zhou found an empty military fortress and waited by a bonfire. Yu Zhou found the Tang army's wine stash in the cellar. Yu Zhou and Hung Jun drank while they chatted about the past. From when they left the Yejin Palace, Hung Jun couldn't help but felt like a long time had passed. Since they've entered Qinghai, his mood gradually improved. "If I told you this, would you have still go down the mountain?" Yu Zhou asked. Hung Jun smiled, his face flushed with alcohol. At this time, his mood was also very complicated. "Yes." Hung Jun murmured. Yu Zhou said again, "I still remember Hung Jun, You promised me that after defeating Mara, you will find an appropriate place for us to cultivate and that you will watch me jump through the dragon gate. Hong Jun had already forgotten. He glanced at Yu Zhou and said, "You still remember that?" Yu Zhou said, "I'm almost done with my cultivation." As he turned, he changed into his fish form and crawled on the brick floor of the military fortress. When Hong Jun saw this appearance, he couldn't help bursting into laughter. The Carpiao, who was no longer an ordinary Carpiao, also laughed. "Hong Jun," Yu Zhou said, "when I turned into dragon, I will take you to play, okay?" Hong Jun leaned against the wall of the military fortress. When he heard this, he remembered Li Jinglong. "Yeah." Hong Jun said languidly, "It's a promise. We will be together for a long, long time." His drunkenness was like the snowflakes that night, sprinkling down on earth with rustling sound. He could still hear Li Jinglong's words as if they were still in his ears. When all of these were over, he promises to take him all over the country to see all the beauty that the world has to offer and eat delicious food all over. You remember that? Yu Zhou suddenly became excited as his fair and handsome face became reddened along with his neck and bare chest. Hong Jun didn't hear Yu Zhou's words, but he murmured, "That's why I won't lose." Yu Zhou said, "You won't, Hong Jun, I." As Yu Zhou wanted to say something more, Hong Jun suddenly frowned and said, "Did you hear that sound?" There was a horse neighing. Hong Jun turned his head and looked out of the fortress only to see a horse without its rider, arrived outside the fortress, shivering with cold. The saddle, the horse's head and the horse's middle were covered with cotton-padded jackets. Tied in it was a water bag that was frozen hard. There was also a thin leather boot on the stirrup. "Who is it?" Hong Jun got up and went out hurriedly. In the wind and snow, the trail of this horse followed the road they came from as it ran up to a distance. Hong Jun went to chase it while Yu Zhou asked, "Is it the guard stationed here?" Hong Jun said, "You take the horse in while I save the rider." Hong Jun chased along the horse's footprints. There was obviously someone on the horse. Presumably, they must not have been able to withstand the wind and snow, and then they fell while on the path to Qilian Mountain, got dragged by the horse for a while until their boots finally came off, and then, they fell on the snowy ground. If they were not found as soon as possible under this freezing condition, they would freeze to death. Sure enough, at the bottom of the mountain pass where they had just exited the canyon, there was a man lying on his stomach. The man had not completely lost consciousness. He was slowly crawling through the snow. He was wearing a black robe and half of his body was already buried in the snow. Hong Jun quickened his pace. He saw that the man appeared to be barefooted and was flushed from the cold. "Hey!" Hong Jun shouted, "Can you hear me? Wake up!" The man heard the voice and knew that help was coming. He finally gave up struggling and stopped moving. Hong Jun turned the man over, and suddenly the whole world became silent. From the dim sky, finely fragmented snowflakes continued to flutter down. The wind stopped. Li Jinglong's eyes were tightly closed. He didn't know exactly when he had taken off his martial robe. His chest and shoulders were flushed from the cold, and his lips had turned purple as he lay quietly on the snow. Heavy snow started falling from the sky and fell on Hong Jun's body. It was as if an incomparably long period of time had frozen at this moment. His tears would not stop falling. They dripped into the snow and fell onto Li Jinglong's face and onto his neck. He leaned down and hugged Li Jinglong tightly. He used all the strength in his body as if he wanted to bury him inside his own body. For a while, the snowy nights of that year and the snowy night of today, the vast seas and fields, all this seemed so far away but at the same time seemed to be close at hand, as if it nothing have ever changed. Li Jinglong's last thought before he lost consciousness was heat. He kept taking off his clothes in the ice and snow. It was an inevitable reaction of the body when it was cold to the extreme. As if he was in an illusion, he embraced a familiar body. He couldn't stop reaching out and pulling his hand until warm lips pressed against his. Flames covered his body, causing his consciousness to return to his body bit by bit. He opened his eyes and stared blankly at Hung Jun's soft fair skin and the slender shapely body of the young man in his arms. Li Jinglong. Hung Jun's eyes were close. He only looked at him quietly as tears rolled down from his eyes. "Why are you crying?" Li Jinglong only said this one sentence before he hugged Hung Jun's waist tightly, and the two entangled together. Outside the fortress, Yu Zhou stood guard by the door. In front of him was the horse that Li Jinglong rode on. Yu Zhou. Yu Zhou took a sip of wine as he fed some hay to the horse. "Happy New Year," Yu Zhou said to the horse. He swallowed a few mouthful of wine, fell on his back and let out a long ah. He suddenly cried out of frustration. "Why do I have to suffer so much?" Yu Zhou raised his hand to wipe his tears as he choked. The burning light of the bonfire illuminated the entire fortress. Hung Jun opened his arms and held Li Jinglong as he urged the true essence of the phoenix flame to seep into his body. Li Jinglong finally recovered and looked at Hong Jun quietly. Neither of them spoke. At the end, Li Jinglong stared at Hong Jun's eyes and said, "I'm here to take you home." Hong Jun raised his arm, wiped his face and said, "Not yet." Li Jinglong interrupted Hong Jun's words and said, "I promise you, Hong Jun, I will not interfere with your Yao tribe's affairs, as long as you let me stay by your side." Hong Jun looked at Li Jinglong and said, "I promise you that after I defeated Qing Xiang and Mara, I will come home to you." "It's a promise then." Li Jinglong held out his palm. Hung Jun didn't know exactly what he meant, but he placed his palm against Li Jinglong, who then squeezed his hand, pulled him towards him and hugged him tightly in his arms. "Don't leave me again." Li Jinglong's voice trembled as he said, "I was wrong, but you can't always treat me this way. I'll go crazy." Hong Jun's eyes widened in a daze and he felt Li Jinglong's heartbeat, which was as firm and fierce as before. In the early morning of the next day, Hong Jun and Li Jinglong snuggled together. Yu Zhou knocked on the door from the outside and called out, "Hong Jun, get up." Hong Jun, who was pillowed in front of Li Jinglong's chest, sat up sleepily. Li Jinglong had recovered after a night. His body had both the heart lamp and the power of the phoenix flame. He shouldn't have ended up in such a sorry state of almost freezing to death under the Qilian mountains. However, he chased after them so hard that he didn't have a wink of sleep for several days and nights. When he reached the foot of the mountain, he was already like a lamp that had run out of oil. "Thank you, Zhao Zilong," Li Jinglong said to Yu Zhou with an ambiguous tone. Yu Zhou replied blandly, "You're welcome. Let's go to Zoage Basin. If you can find the golden arrows, then I'll leave the last artifact to you." Li Jinglong simply packed up his luggage. Hung Jun was yawning when he came out of the fortress. When he saw Li Jinglong patting Yu Zhou's shoulder, he laughed. Yu Zhou's expression was very complicated. It was as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He could only give up and get on his horse. The three of them left the foot of the Qilian mountain and galloped into the hinterland of Qinghai. Hung Jun originally wanted to ride a horse by himself, but Li Jinglong insisted on taking him along and had him sit in front of him. In the past half-month that Hung Jun and Li Jinglong were separated, there had always been a sense of emptiness within his heart. He knew that people had to grow up and bear their own responsibilities, that there were some things one had to deal with on his own. But when he reunited with Li Jinglong, he couldn't help but let his emotions instantly control his reason. Facing the vast snowfield as he was leaning against Li Jinglong, he suddenly had the urge to give up everything. "I just want to throw away all my worries and responsibilities," as Li Bai put it. It was probably the case of willing to be buried with dust and ashes. Hong Jun couldn't help but sigh. "I can't do this and I'm not willing to do that," Li Jinglong said behind him with a smile. "What do you want this husband to do? Go on, just give me a quick death." "Stop talking," Hong Jun said gloomily. Li Jinglong laughed as he controlled the reins with his hands around Hung Jun's waist. He tightened his hold on Hung Jun's waist as he shouted, "Go." Their horse galloped through the snow. Zhao Zilong. Hung Jun quickly turned his head to look, but Li Jinglong kissed his lips from behind his shoulders and finally said, "Forget about him." Hong Jun. When their lips parted, Li Jinglong said, "Hong Jun, this is almost over. We will be fine." The melancholy and sorrow that Qing Xiang's action brought to Hung Jun was finally swept away when Li Jinglong appeared in front of him again. The moment Hung Jun picked him up from the snow, he was no longer afraid of anything. "Whenever I'm by your side, I feel like I've been beaten back to the original form," Hong Jun said faintly. Li Jinglong said with a smile, "That's why I became the Zenji of the exorcism department. I was destined to take on the little Yao King." Hung Jun was supposed to be angry, but he couldn't help bursting into laughter. Li Jinglong shook the horse's rein again and led him to the ends of the world. City of Luoyang, in the depths of the Tenli of the Heavenly River, there was deadly silence as dripping water turned into ice. "I almost forgot that Jiaos need to hibernate," Yuan Kun said in a cold voice. Xiaoyu's eyes were tightly closed. His body was very weak and he replied in a faint voice, "Today, I've actually been defeated by you." Xiaoyu slowly said, "It's ridiculous that your Yao tribe had won a complete victory. If you had exerted the last push, you could have probably destroyed this last bit of devil seed. Now, you're just like the humans, trapped in a battle with your own kind. Isn't it funny?" Yuan Kun took a step forward and did not respond to Xiaoyu's words. Instead, he took off his blindfold. Xiaoyu opened his eyes and looked at Yuan Kun. Yuan Kun's eyes were two deep, black holes, and there was nothing in it. "Give me resentment and unwillingness," said Xiaoyu hoarsely. "I'm dying here, in this secluded underground." "The time is not yet right," Yuan Kun murmured. "Let me take a look." He walked in front of Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu seemed to be very terrified and could not stop trembling. Yuan Kun raised his hand and pressed it on Xiaoyu's head. In an instant, Xiaoyu screamed in pain as the demonic energy in his body exploded. Yuan Kun suddenly withdrew his hand and turned to leave. Before leaving, he said coldly, "Patience." Yuan Kun left while in the darkness of the Tenli of the Heavenly River, a pair of fox's eyes were shining brightly. The sky in Luoyang was dusky. It had been a full year, but the entire city still reeked of the rotting stench of slaughter. Qing Xiang sat on the collapsed throne in the main hall. He had one foot on the armrest while his other arm supported his chin. "What did you see?" Qing Xiang asked Yuan Kun, who had just walked into the hall. "What did you see?" Yuan Kun asked back solemnly. Qing Xiang closed his eyes slightly and said, "I saw the ants are fighting back. The Tang army is fighting fiercely with Shi Siming's troops in Hejian and Shayan Commandery. They returned to Chang'an, flanking on two sides and preparing to go to Luoyang." Yuan Kun said in a deep voice, "The main character hasn't arrived yet." Qing Xiang raised his head a little and looked at Yuan Kun condescendingly. Yuan Kun said, "I saw the future through Xiaoyu's remaining demonic energy." "What kind of future?" Qing Xiang asked. "The scene of the next rebirth." Yuan Kun said, "Mara will be reborn in the divine land." "When?" Qing Xiang said in a deep voice. 247 years later. Yuan Kun said. "That's enough time." Qing Xiang said slowly. Yuan Kun said again, "The devil seed will condense in the Snake of Ba Mountain. Through the goddess of Wushan, it will give birth to a devil child. The Ba snake is dead." Qing Xiang said slowly, but his gaze fell on Zhao Yun, who had been thrown to the side of the throne. "When will Hung Jun come back?" Qing Xiang said in a deep voice. "He's coming soon." Yuan Kun said in a deep voice, "It won't be later than a month. We need to catch him as soon as he comes back." Qing Xiang said, "We can't let him go outside anymore." Yuan Kun said, "He'll walk right into a trap. Why should you be so impatient? You told me the drought fiend would bring him back." Qing Xiang said in a deep voice, "Now." Yuan Kun did not argue with him anymore. He turned and left the hall. End chapter.